Good evening.
Enchanté.
Well, hello.
Well, hello.
He did it.
Did what? If anyone can name the film there, we'll send you a box of goodies, more quotes from the film, and
a personal shout out on our next episode.
Yeah, that's a good one. Listen.
Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Listen.
Listen, I'll be really honest.
We're going to be frank right now with you guys. We've got something heavy.
Something heavy indeed.
Our eyes and legs are heavy because we've been at
the Trafford Centre
all day.
But that's boring. We don't want to talk about that.
We're not talking about that. We're not going to tell you about all the nice things we bought, all the nice food that we ate.
But it's very late here. It's 10 to 11, and we usually do our podcast quite early.
We do.
It's been a very long day, but we're determined to get this out for tomorrow. So.
And we've not had any time before today. Literally, we've both been working all day. Thursday to Monday, we've both been working every single day.
Yeah. And
even if you've been working and I've not been, you've been working while I'm free, and I'm working while you're free. Yeah, so we've literally had no time. And today we just really wanted to go to the Trafford Centre because Mike's never been, and we need a little day off.
We needed to, and we did need to get some stuff.
We did.
So it's okay. So I got a watch. I got a new watch, which was cool. And we got a bunch of like some new things that we were just some stuff that we needed and some stuff that
I went to Sephora.
Sephora
opened a couple of weeks ago.
It's migraine inducing.
And it's it was brilliant. It was so good. And it's only a couple of brands that they stock that other, beauty outlets don't, but just the vibe of going, it being like, this is Sephora. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Picked up a couple of bits. It was really good. It's just all the girls
going
mental.
Yeah. And it was,
which is so fun.
Yeah, I know, it was lovely. Like very, very nice day, very lovely, very wholesome day for the two of us. Just a lot. There was, it's a lot of driving. Our car's on its last legs.
Car nearly gave out in the middle of like a motorway roundabout. Yeah. It was Ring Road. It was bad.
Yeah, and I'm having a little treat tonight with a little Pepsi. This is my little. We went to TGI Fridays, which was a little treat.
Yeah, it was sick.
I'm having a little treat now. I also, because I'm quite tired and I need a little caffeine thing.
Yeah,
so,
fair enough.
I do like I do like a little Pepsi every now and then, but we're getting into some really deep. Also, do you remember the last time we did a nighttime podcast? It was like our most unhinged.
It was.
One that we've done. It was mental.
I like these though. I think they're good. I think it's like that's the series, isn't it? It's real talk. It's like we've said, not that any of our podcasts are scripted or in any way, not even filtered really. I feel like neither of us really filter what we say, but we wanted to make a point of doing this series and just being like, we're going to talk about this, and then let's just go from there and see what we end up talking about, with lots of side quests and interesting debates.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you want to talk about?
So I think we said for this podcast we were going to do it in we're going to look at doing it in like three.
Yeah.
Like we did like
the rule of thirds.
The rule of three, yeah. And last week we did 3, and that seemed to we had fun doing that because it was quite. It was like the novelty of there's this, there's that, and there's that.
Yeah.
And I think this week we said that it was going to be the 3 topics we were going to talk about were going to be birth control or lack of birth control.
Yeah.
Because Meg you're off.
We're currently off birth control as a couple.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Then we're going to talk about we had a little lovers spat last night.
We did.
Which was the first one that we've had since we've started the podcast. So we're going to talk about that. And then the third one was something like a wild card of.
I think we were just going to talk about the craziness and chaos of consumerism. A lot of what we've been talking about today, really walking around the shops.
Just walking around the shops, how it was a bit of a. It was a bit like something out of Black Mirror, wasn't it? A bit. So we're going to try and maybe talk about those 3 topics in some detail.
I think we should do them in reverse order of what you just said.
Okay.
Keep it interesting.
To keep it fresh.
Keep people hanging on our every word.
There's Meg again with the marketing thing. She's already on it. She's already on to what's going to be better for people to keep it, because you know that people, well, people can just skip to the bit where it's the birth control bit.
Yeah, they can, but hopefully they're not, because we are going to be talking about some real talk, like real truths right now about consumerism, like materialism, this whole thing of, you know, today we were at the Trafford Centre and the place is like a gallery. It's like the Louvre. There's like statues everywhere. There's water fountains.
Yeah. It's like Caesar's Palace, or
yeah,
you know, they're trying to. It feels as if they're trying to make it some mark of cultural significance.
Yeah. But don't you think it's interesting though? It does kind of remind me of it's not the Louvre in Paris. Kind of, it does remind me of the Louvre in Paris, but also the palace. Oh, I'm just gonna Google it. It's called like the Palace de something in Paris, and it's literally struck. What?
The Paris de something in where was that again? Any chance it was Paris? Yes, it was Paris. Yeah.
Like even what's the word? Architecturally, it reminds me a lot of the Trafford Centre. Yeah.
Well, we just thought it was funny that it was the first time that I've ever been, and it's massive. It's insane. And you walk in and, you know, it's that it looks very like something that you'd see in Rome, or maybe like something like one of these big monuments that you'd see in Paris or something. There's the architecture looks like they've really put a lot of time and effort into it.
Even that, see the glass domes and
they very much
that.
like or like the Reichstag, right? Like the Berlin building of Parliament or whatever. And those people in there saying, "Oh yeah, well the staircases here are based off the same ones that were built in the Titanic, and it's got the world's largest chandelier in there." That could have been bullshit, but it could have been. I mean, I've got to take this person's word for it.
I want to fact check that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, really? There's no one in there's no like Tsar of like Russia or like some like I don't know who's got a bigger one. It just happens to be in Manchester, but. And then it's like, oh, okay, so what's like the significance of this building? Was it here to like, is that, you know, like where the Treaty of Versailles was signed? Is it like, what's the significance of this building? Does it have like a historical significance, or like what happened here in this building to make it be so big and vast and feel so monumental? And then it's like, oh no, it actually just houses all these retail outlets,
shops.
And then it's like, okay, like, so what if it's like if you said like if an alien arrived and it was like, so what's going on in this building that looks massive and you can see it lit up from afar? It's like, oh, is this where people come to shop and spend money and eat and take the kids? And like I'm not gonna go like,
but it's funny that even the way it combines, I think this is like my interesting take home about this, like very quickly we're reaching my take home from it, right, is that a place that combines art and community of this thing of like eating together, like watching a movie together,
right,
is also combined with shopping, which isn't really something that you do together. You kind of shop, you spend money for something for yourself, or even if it is a gift, it's still not really a communal activity. But it's interesting that these three things we saw, it was like eat, drink, shop.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's funny that we put shopping in this thing that is social.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and when it's really not, it's just a place. They want to put shops there for you to spend money in.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be social. Like, they're not built up to be social things. But even the fact that they are trying to put the social, that's nice, social aspect onto it. It's like a weird trickery that we've put shopping and spending money into the realm of like eating together and watching a movie together. It's like, oh, and you also do a bit of shopping together. It's like, well, hang on, who said that was a thing?
Why is that a communal thing? Why is that a family thing? Like,
and the other thing was that being in that building architecturally felt like an art gallery or a palace, and most people who go to art galleries, none of it's to take home. You can go to the little gift shop at the end if you want and get a poster or a postcard or something. But none of the art in there is for sale. So it's kind of like bringing this art gallery thing to the public, and then being like, oh yeah, but you can buy things here.
Yeah.
You can take a piece of this home with you. And it's like, that's what I find like really interesting, of like, we're so desperate to own things that feel like art, but instead what we get given, or instead of being encouraged to make art, we're encouraged to, go to Sephora and buy makeup and stuff because it's the closest thing of like buying a piece of what this place feels like, which is like an art gallery, an art museum.
That's an interesting insight. There were a few things that happened today on the trip that were like little things that I picked up on that were like that. Geez, my voice keeps breaking. My voice keeps breaking. I'm knackered. My eyes are like glazing over. There was a few interesting things that happened, and I was like, ooh, I didn't. It was like, that thing of seeing through, like on the Truman Show. Yeah. When you see like behind the scene, and it's like, what was that? Like, what's, you see it in people's attitudes, and like, so I went so one of the first ones was I went and got this watch. So this watch is literally like, it's nothing special. It's a Casio watch, and I needed it because I wanted to just, for practical purposes, I want it when I'm running and stuff. I want to have something that I can, so I don't have to take my phone, and this can map times and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's cool, like it's practical, and I've wanted a watch for a while. I've never bought a watch brand new. All my watches I've always been secondhand, and I've only ever bought one watch. So hey, I feel like I was like, okay, I'll get a watch, that's cool. And then the guy that I was like talking to us, and then when he took us to cash up, and I gave him the cash and stuff, and we're talking, and it's like he's trying to make the sale and stuff, and it's like he didn't really have to make the sale, but he's talking about it. And then the minute I handed him the cash and he wrote it off, some guy came and stood next to him, and they were talking, and before I could even say bye, the fella was already saying to him, right, you go and get to that customer over there, and I'll go and handle this customer. I
noticed that as well.
So it was like,
that was a bit pushy.
It was like rude. Yeah, it was like this thing of like, quickly give him the receipt, and the minute that the money had changed hands, the whole interplay of like, oh hey, how are you doing? Like, oh, like we're exchanging stories, we're sort of talking to each other back and forth. It dropped straight away, and it was like, right, you get back, see him over there, go and get to him. And I was like, whoa, I didn't like that. Like, that felt very like, just give me your money and get out of the shop. And so there was that, and then there was the whole thing with there was people in, so Sephora, that shop that you wanted to go in, that's been open for a couple of weeks, and they had designated it so that there was like a queue outside. Yeah. Now we walked past it, and the queue was massive. Yeah. It was the only place within the Trafford Centre which had a queue. Yeah. And we were talking to people, and it's like, well, they've been here for like 2 weeks. It's been a while now since they've like been open, and now there's this queue. And it was like, well, like, who's to say? We walked past the shop, and it was like, the shop inside didn't look like it was like had loads of people in it, but had they done that as a marketing strategy to be like, well, we'll put a queue, and we'll only let a certain amount of people in because it builds like a buzz, and it's like, and people, like, we were talking about it, people in other shops were talking about it.
And also the idea of queuing up somewhere, there's a pressure then to buy stuff, because otherwise you feel like you've queued for nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas anyone can just walk in. How many shops today did we walk in, loop, and leave? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But
it did feel as if that in every exchange, it felt as if that, I do feel like there was, people were very on it in a salesy way. Like, I don't feel like there was whenever someone spoke to us like that, like when they were in the Levi's shop, and you were trying on some pants and stuff, and it was, the woman was very nice that was helping, that was getting the pants stuff, but she was like, because you tried on some shorts, and then she came, and you were like, oh, I'm not sure on the length, I think I might like taper them, like I want to bring them up a little bit. And then it was like, the woman conveniently from the shop was there, and she was like, oh, I absolutely love those ones. I've got those ones, and I also brought them up to the exact same length that you're talking of.
I know what you mean.
And you guys had totally different body types. Yeah. So then you kind of, and you kind of want to, I kind of wanted to be like, in a funny way, like, no, you're fucking with me, right? Like,
I know what you mean.
You're just saying that so you can make a sale.
Do they have to say that? But I don't think they do it to make a sale, because it's not like they're on commission of anything they sell.
No, but you know,
but
as
I
much
reckon
as,
that it's
as
just
anyone.
like it's a sales technique, isn't it? Anyone who's listening who's worked in retail, I've had more than my fair share of like.
You and I both.
Yeah, you worked at Game. I don't know.
Well, that's retail.
Yeah.
And I had I had briefs every morning that were to do with like,
okay, fair enough.
well, not every morning, but you know, I had to
fair enough. I guess
upsell these things.
I've worked in like 3 or 4 different retail environments now. You know, and it's kind of that thing of like, you know, the phrases. It's like, you know the phrases, you know the lingo. Like whenever anyone's got anything, it's like you have to say, "Oh, I've got that. I use that exact one." And it's like,
yeah, it's mad.
It's
madness.
weird, isn't
because
it?
Because I instantly feel as if that there is. I feel like the minute someone tries to connect with me on that level, something kind of clicks, and I'm like.
Did you have that when the guy was trying to sell us that massage gun?
Well, I feel like what was a bit more frustrating about that was that, like, not frustrating, that's the wrong word. I feel as if we'd been into John Lewis, and we'd found this like massage gun which looked awesome. And you know, obviously for like running and training, like we've seen these before and they look great. And the one in John Lewis looked pretty. It looked like, just in terms of the material and you know, holding it felt weighty, right? It felt pretty good.
Yeah. And
it was like 375 quid, and we were like, okay, that's like pretty expensive. And then we left it, and then in the middle of the Trafford Centre there was this other company. I didn't see a company name.
I did. It was called like Muscle Lab or something.
Muscle Lab, okay.
Something like that.
And then like I saw like it was funny. I sort of clocked them as we were going because there were shoe places.
Yeah.
And I sort of saw it and I was like, don't really know. And the fact as well that there's a few of them and they're all carrying guns, massage guns.
They've all got guns.
They've all got massage guns and they're walking around. I felt as if that there was more of a thing of they were trying to, because it was like in one of those open type things, like in the mall. It wasn't like a shop, it was like in the middle of the mall.
Yeah.
So I was like, in my head I was like, they're gonna probably try and that's how they get people in. They try and go up to people and say, hey.
Yeah.
And then before I could say anything, you were already talking to the guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. And then somehow through you talking to the guy's now pulling me in and putting the gun on me, and he's like, the massage gun, and he's putting it all over me, and I'm like, oh no, I'm massaged out, man. And he's like, oh, you can never be too massaged out, man. Here, and he's putting it on me, and I'm like, okay, like let's just like hang on a minute, like, and then he was like, just his whole pitch was dead funny.
It was a lot, wasn't it? It was like, you get this today only. You get this deal.
It's usually 250 quid,
yeah.
But if you take it now,
yeah.
I'll do it for 180.
And if you take it now, I'll give you a free bag, and I'll give you a free head massager.
You give us a free bag and a free head massager, but you've got to take it now.
You've got to take it now, and it's like, Jesus, dude, we've been talking to you for all of like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't even like, I feel as if I don't. It's just that.
It's nothing personal against the sales people or anything like that. They're obviously doing a job, but
it's that thing where it's like, it's funny how, like the level of intensity that's coming to you right now is to make the sale. And with the people in the other shops, it wasn't that intense, but it was still there to be like, I feel as if you're just telling me what I want to hear. You're basically kind of trying to manipulate me in a way to buy something. And it's like, it's like a lot of effort that you're going to do this because you'll get some sort of financial gain out of it. And I guess it's just an interesting insight to be like, it's crazy what people will do to try and get that.
Yeah.
To get that sales push and to be like,
but I also think that commission is amazing incentive for people, because if I turn up to my job at the body shop when I was working there, and I'm there, I'm there for 6 hours, no matter what I do in those 6 hours, I'm still paid the same. Like, I'm paid my hourly wage, whether I'm nice to customers or not. I'm getting that hourly wage. Obviously, I'm going to be nice to customers because I'm a nice person, and if you're caught not being nice to customers, you're probably not going to be there very long. They're going to have some problems with you. But if I was working there and it was like, okay, yeah, you get your minimum, you get an hourly wage here. But also, if you can encourage sales and earn a commission on what you sell, you personally get, 5% of whatever that sale is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, if I was like, obviously it's a funny two-way thing then, though, because then you feel like they personally want you to buy something, like they'll put more pressure on you to buy. But I think that as an incentive for the person, it's like, well, yeah, because if they do want to work harder, they have potential to earn more.
I get it.
Rather than, because it kind of like, if you and me were both working at the Muscle Lab place and we didn't get commission, you could be there like really pushing it, like going like, oh, like, but in a nice way, having good sales techniques and being nice and
Yeah, no,
things
it's
like
just,
that.
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm not doing any of that. I can't be arsed, and we
No,
still
no,
get
no.
paid the same.
No, but I think I'm not. It's that thing. I'm not like it's. I'm not having to go at the player. I'm having to go at the
No,
game.
the
It's
game,
like,
yeah,
it's, and I know it's like, well, yeah, I get it. Like
yeah,
that's our culture. You need to buy things.
yeah.
It's good. It's good that you have
Buying and
businesses.
selling.
Enterprise and entrepreneurial spirit is wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit crazy when you see it in this. You go to the Trafford Centre or whatever, and it's like it's everything. It's that on crack. It's everyone to the extreme, and especially because it's half term, so there's kids off, and it's very intense. It's, I don't know. I think, and maybe because, and so we went into, what was that other place, that Lucy Lemon stuff?
Lululemon.
Oh, Lululemon.
Oh, it's so dear in there. So nice though.
Lovely shop. Like, I was like, oh, this is great. Gym gear looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like you'd see a vest, really, vest. So it's
honestly just a vest.
It's lacking sleeves.
Yeah.
So that's material that they've saved on. And the armpits are cut dead wide.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like 50 quid. Or it's like, okay, so I just need to know where they've come up with that price. And I need to know where that margin is, and I understand it's like, okay, well, they can charge whatever they want, but sometimes there is an element where you go into a shop and it's like, I don't know how you're getting away with putting these prices on it.
But then the other way around is what we said about the Primark when we first walked in.
Yeah.
You saw how cheap some of the prices were, and you think, oh, okay, that's so cheap, it makes me nervous because I probably know how cheaply it's been made. But I do think,
and where's it been made?
But I do think you take a step back. I'm not being funny.
Yeah.
But stuff in Lululemon could easily be being made at the same factory as Primark stuff's being made.
Maybe.
I don't know the logistics of anything about either of those companies' manufacturers. But in general, people think that when it's expensive and when it's at a high-end, like, luxury brand store like Lululemon, I consider that a luxury brand store, that you're getting better quality. And it's interesting, like, it did feel really soft, and it's obviously been cut well, and it's...
But then I also don't like what that does mentally, because I'd bought this watch, and I was like, okay, I've treated myself, that's nice, I would never usually do that. So that's cool. I feel very satisfied now. Great, great. I like my new watch. I feel, all right. I'm not like, it's not like I'm running around like I'm on, I'm like, oh my God, my life's complete. But there's an element of like, okay, I needed a watch because I wanted a watch. It's going to be good for my workouts. I've got a nice watch there. Didn't spend a ridiculous amount of money on it. I'm happy with it. Cool. Like that's a nice exchange of me going into a shop and buying something. And then you go into this other place. I forget the name. I'm going to call it Lemoncello. Lucy Lemon from now on. And I'm in there and I'm like, wow, like, and I've picked this hoodie up and I'm like, that hoodie looks really nice. And then I feel the hoodie on the inside and I'm like, that feels great. Really love that. I could see myself wearing that. Check the price tag, 180 quid. And I'm like, so now I know I'm not going to buy it, but now I've had a gut reaction where I feel sad for not being able to buy it.
I totally understand that.
And that is horrible, because then I started to second guess, and I was like, maybe I could put together a little basket and spend like 500 quid. And then I'm like, and then, and then I did, for like 10 seconds, then you come out of it and you're like, what the hell, you're being taken for a ride. Like, you don't do that, because they win.
I know what you mean.
And I didn't like that, that I saw a glimpse of that for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And I imagine a lot of people, well, it's that thing, isn't it? It's like, I need the new, because it's going to make me fit in and feel better.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, for me, walking into Primark and spending 100 quid on probably multiple items, I get them home, and I haven't done this in a while. I'm not saying I do this on the reg, but like, I wouldn't feel good about that. I'd feel like I just spent 100 quid on kind of like nothing. Yeah. Like, this is not a thing on Primark. I'd probably feel the same about like New Look or Zara or something. Go in and not, drop 100, 150 quid. You might get yourself a few items there. Yeah. But then it's like, I don't know, suddenly once you get them home out of the shop and out of the bag and they're into your wardrobe then with the rest of your clothes, they sort of like lose any sense of newness, and you feel like, well, whatever. And then, if it's really poor quality, it kind of falls apart relatively quickly, and then you're like, oh well, I'll just buy it again, and then it's like, you know, you're buying again and again and again.
Yeah. And
whereas you've bought that watch, like, you're not going to buy another watch now for the foreseeable future, you know.
Well, I haven't had one for
You
ages,
haven't had one for ages.
The last
So
one
you'll
I got
probably go
off like Depop, you know.
you'll probably go the same length of time now without getting yourself a new one.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I don't know, it's like that thing of like, okay, you budget for an item depending on how much it's worth to you, and whether you're going to be replacing it, and whether you're going to be getting use out of it, and whether you're buying it because it's cheap or you're buying it because you want it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of I feel like maybe, like that's the thing. I enjoy that thing of consumerism where it's like I need something. I also bought a pair of trainers, but they were running shoes because I've been running quite a lot recently.
It's been running in like Adidas specials,
and I'm running in these. Did I get them off Depop?
Yeah, you got them second hand.
They're flat-footed, like Adidas shoes.
Mate, you're going to be flying in those shoes, you know. Like, the fact that you can run like 8K in like, what, 40 minutes was your last time.
It was something like that, yeah. But
the fact that you can do that in those shoes that give you literally no
sweet.
support. Like, next run, you're going to be absolutely running for miles.
Thank you, sweetheart. That's weird because you're really good at running through my mind all day.
Oh my God. I want to get a pair of running shoes soon. I don't know which ones.
But you should get those ones that we had a look at today.
I wasn't vibing with those.
Oh.
They're a bit too far on the extreme for me. Not that I'm saying I'm not as good as a runner as I need to be to own a pair of those shoes, but I want a pair that have a little bit more versatility of wearing with my outfits and stuff.
Fair enough. That's more than fair.
The bitty living space.
But but just to quickly circle back on that thing, I was just like, you know, I wanted to go out and get something that was purely for a functional reason. I needed a pair of running shoes. I run a lot. I need to upgrade to I don't have any running shoes.
Yeah. So it's not an upgrade. It's a.
It's the baseline.
Yeah.
And I researched the shoes that I wanted to buy, and I did my research, and I was like, okay. And I didn't end up getting that pair, but I got a pair that was very similar. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I don't mind that exchange. It's for a functional thing, and I need them shoes. It's going to help me. It's it's not just purely for, oh, I'm buying these new, whatever it is, just because everyone else is buying them, and I'm queuing up for hours and stuff. But I think that's cool. But it just did feel a bit like surreal being in that level of retail, and it's like this is insane. Like
shop after shop after shop.
I can't imagine how much money is passing through, and I can't imagine how much the people that are making those clothes are getting paid in return for the people that. And I know it's like that sounds a bit preachy, but it just does feel a bit weird. It made me feel quite uncomfortable being there.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And then you start questioning everything. You start questioning, like, well, who made them running shoes?
Yeah.
Is this watch? Who made this watch? Like, was it, is it sustainable? Like,
just because you have these questions doesn't mean that you need all the answers, but it's just good to have an awareness and a bit more respect for things of like, of treating the things with respect. And it's like, like not taking the things that you're able to purchase for granted, and
not putting it on a pedestal
either.
Not
putting things on a pedestal, yeah, for sure.
No.
Let's talk about... What was the second thing? Our arguments.
A little lover spat between lovers.
So we had a little... Argument's a big word. Argument with a small a.
Bust up.
I wouldn't say we're ever arguing to the point where we're shouting at one another, where we're saying nasty things, where we're...
It's always a conversation.
It's always a conversation.
But we thought we'd call it a lover spat.
We call it a lover spat. That conversation, though, can get upsetting and...
Revealing.
Revealing.
It's for both of us.
For both of us, when we feel like we're usually on the same page so much, so that then when we haven't communicated something as best, or we've done things and it's kind of like, no, hang on, that's rubbed me the wrong way, and now I need to put it across to you.
Yes.
You've got to openly communicate
about everything
to not build up any resentment, or as like a, that thing of like when you're arguing about something it's not really about what you're arguing about. It's the same argument you've had
Yeah.
like hundreds of times. It's
Yeah.
just a new
Or
reason.
or it's not about the small thing that you're arguing about or you're having a discussion about. It stands for something much bigger
So
that
true.
you need to address.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, like, it'd be interesting if people do listen to this to sort of weigh in a bit and think, well, you know, because I think there were some parts that were that were valid in the points that we were making to each other, but then the conversation sort of developed, and then it sort of took a turn into other things, and then you made some points which I also think were very fair on your part.
You made lots of very fair points as well,
as did you.
You know, but the basics of it was that
here we go. This is juicy.
Long story short.
No, let's get into it. We've got like 40 minutes.
We've been talking for about 20 minutes about
it's,
consumerism.
It's about, honestly, we've got about 40 minutes
For an hour long podcast.
For an hour.
I want to make this like 50 minutes max. I think we're getting too long lately.
I've had lots of nice comments about them being quite lengthy.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the voice in my head.
But yeah, long story short, we were in the living room, and I'd been working that day. I was at my pop-up in Urban Outfitters, and then Mike had prepared a lovely dinner for us, and we were sat down, and we had the door open, like the balcony door open, letting in a breeze and stuff into the living room where we were sitting eating. And Mike left the room for about 10 minutes-ish. It's been disputed how long Mike left the room for.
Between 5 and 10 minutes, and I also made a point of saying, I'll be back in a minute, and we were watching a show, and Meg said, do you want me to pause it? And I was like, no, because I'll be back in a minute. And
then sometime undisclosed elapsed.
5 to 10.
And I shut the door because I was feeling a bit chilly, even though I had a hoodie on and a small blanket draped over me. I was feeling a little chilly, we're not quite in summer yet, and it's still a little bit nippy in the evenings and stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to shut this door. Shut the door. Mike comes back into the room and opens the door after me shutting it. And a little bit of time goes on, and I'm like, oh, I am actually getting cold again now that door's open. So then I turned to Mike and said, sweetheart, do you think we could shut that door? Because I'm getting a bit cold, and, you're wearing like, jeans and a long sleeve shirt. Maybe you could delayer a little bit if you're quite warm, and that way
take my clothes off. You
wanted
me to take my clothes off.
Take your clothes off. Because I'm quite warm, and I'm quite cold, and you're quite warm, but I'm like layering up. So maybe you layer down a little bit, and then we're both comfy. But then Mike made a good point of. So that's what kind of started it off, because then it was getting into like, I should have known that Mike was hot to open the door.
It's not quite that. It wasn't quite this idea of like, you should have preempted that I was opening the door because I was warm. It was to do with the fact that you said quite rightly within your own right, I'm a bit cold. Can I have the door closed? And then I was like, well, actually, I'm quite warm, and because with the cooking and stuff, I was in a hot area, so that's got me quite hot, and I felt like the living room is quite hot. We've only got a small apartment, and the TV gives off a lot of heat, and it was sunny out, and it was like it was sunny. So then I was like, I'm actually still kind of hot. And then it was the thing then of instead of it, and context is important. Over the past, we've been together for like 10 years. So I have this thing where I get quite hot quite easily, like all the time. I can be in bed with no clothes on, and Meg can be in bed under the covers with pajamas on, and she's quite happy, toasty, and I'm dying because of the heat. And it works for Meg as well. You're used to having it maybe a bit warmer. You like the warmth more. So
yeah.
When you feel breezes, or when you feel like things that compromise that, you feel it more than say somebody else would. So we kind of know that we have this exchange where you'll get quite cold easily and I'll get quite hot easily. But then in the thing that was a bit sort of like, oh, okay,
was the pushing a bit of like, why can't you like?
Yeah, because you'd said, can we have the door closed? And I said, no, I'm still quite hot, and I'm back in the room. I opened the door because I was hot for that reason, and I'm sat near the door to cool down. And then it was the thing then of like, you then sort of didn't accept that, and you pushed it, but you pushed like a bit of an argument to be an argument, like, you know, you pushed a bunch of reasons why you want it closed.
A case.
And a case. You made a case, and the case basically was, you're having to compromise because you're having to have a blanket. And what would be better would be that the door gets closed and I take off my clothes to accommodate for you.
Yeah. When you say it like that, it does sound like literally that's silly. Like, don't ask the other person to take. But
that is kind of what happened, though.
I meant it in a sense of personal regulation of like,
yes, but
rather than affecting the space of with a heater or with an aircon or with the door.
Right.
Personally regulate your own temperature with the items you have on hand, either take them off or put them on.
Right.
That's all.
But you know as well as I know that sometimes if you're in a hot room, it's like, I'm in a hot room and I'm also feeling hot because I've been near a stove and an oven, and I was cooking for about an hour on and off, and I was also doing work in between. So I know that you'd been on your feet all day, but now you were chilling. You were off mode. You were off your feet. You were just totally in chill mode.
Yeah.
I was still working. I was doing a lot, and then. So it's like, okay, so what's going on now in this scenario is that instead of being able to crack the door to let in a nice refreshing breeze, I have to close the door, continue to be hot, continue to do the work, and now walk around the flat naked, which wouldn't help me. All that would happen then was that I'd be naked in a warm flat, you know.
So that was the thing of it. But then I think the crux of it was that I wasn't thinking about, I was putting my own needs first, and then it sort of turned into a further discussion about you coming to see me at my pop-up and doing things for me, you know, cooking more, doing more things around the flat, and coming to see me at my pop-up and bringing me lunch and coffees, and you know,
you'd been at your pop-up
I've been
for
at
4
days. Like 4 days on the go.
And each day I'd come to see you, and I'd been there for like 15-20 minutes. I'd brought you coffee every time, and I'd brought you lunch on 2 of those occasions, and then I'd also cooked dinner on 2 of those occasions, whilst also working myself for the evenings for doing gigs and stuff. And what was an interesting thing was that, like, through this thing there of like, and also once we had the discussion about the door, it was fine. But then a little bit later on in the night, I went over to give Meg like a cuddle on the couch, and she had the blanket on her, and I pulled the blanket round because I wanted to get us both in the blanket, because obviously I couldn't. Ideally, I'd throw the blanket off because I was dying. But I pulled the blanket round so Meg could still have the blanket, and then Meg sort of made a funny joke about being like, "Oh, you know, like, you like the blanket now?" I'm like, "Oh," and it's like, and it was funny. But then that sort of prompted this conversation. And then through all that, I was like, okay, well, I feel like these past couple of days I've been turning up this sensitivity meter internally for you, so I can be more aware of your needs.
Definitely.
And I want to try and do that. And then I was like, okay,
the door thing just kind of represents this thing of me not taking into account
like
you,
not the bare minimum, but that thing of like, I'm not even allowed to. You're not even putting yourself in my shoes for like 30 seconds to be like, hang on, like, he's cooking, he's doing work,
and then you made the point of me, you know, Mike has gigs usually for sometimes 5 nights a week, and you made the point of me not, you know, and that most of them are literally 5 minutes walks, like up from where we live and stuff, like walking distance. That I don't come to see you at your gigs, and that was a very fair point, because I don't pop my head in to surprise you or to see how you're doing and stuff, because I guess it's when it's the evening I was like, well, I'm here and that's my like downtime, and then I'm making dinner for us and stuff, so then when you get in you can eat. But it's that constant miscommunication of like, well, you're picking out something here that I'm not doing, but you're forgetting what I am doing.
Yes, yeah.
And I think just most of it just sometimes comes down to just feeling, and I think anyone in a relationship can relate to that. It's just feeling like underappreciated, or that you're putting in more, or that you're putting in, and then the things that you aren't doing are getting noticed. Like when you're a kid and you'll do loads of good work and no one cares, and then you do something a little bit wrong and it's really penalised, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah, right.
hang on, why isn't any of my good work getting rewarded? And why is the one thing I've done wrong here getting really amplified?
I hear you. Yeah,
you know, and I think that's what it come down to. And you know, we sat and we spoke about it for, you know, a couple of hours, because it's one of them things that you can't just gloss over. And
yeah, we did. We really took the time to talk about it, and we had some jokes in the conversation as well.
And
treated it well. You know, I do think that maybe towards the end of it, it was, you know, it was maybe not turning into, it wasn't getting nasty, but it was maybe degenerating, because it was like 2 a.m.
when we were in bed,
and that we sort of took the argument into then the bedroom. Which I
Not
guess
like
is
that.
which is always like I guess,
but like lying in a dark room,
trying to get to sleep,
and then things still keep getting brought up by both of us, you know, or things are not getting communicated in the right way. It's kind of like, it's not a good atmosphere. No. It's not a good opportunity to be discussing things, you know. But that's no excuse for, you know, when I was like, oh, well, I do fuck all day and stuff like that.
Well, it just got into this place of like I feel like the thing there that maybe is like, you know, it's something to take note of. It's like, I tried to make a point of, and you know, fairly said, like, I said, whenever I talk about these things, it's because like I want to try and make the dynamic of our relationship better, more enriched, the deep between our love gets deeper, that the love that we share gets deeper, because we understand each other more. And sometimes to do that, you sort of have to dig and and look under the rock and stuff. And sometimes when that happens, I feel as if that you might not like that, so then you not lash out, but you sort of get defensive very quickly, and then you get stubborn, and then I have to sort of make a case for, like, I'm not saying this to attack or to hurt.
Totally.
Even though you might feel that way, but that's not where I'm coming at. I'm not coming at it from that angle. So, you know, there was a lot of sort of talking and back and two, but then
it was cute. We both sort of wrote a few notes, literally, like on our phones, of things that we both said that were like something that you've picked up on, something that I've definitely picked up on, of
things that are how we can improve.
And like, again, it's like, I think that was really, really nice that we did that. And
I think so too, yeah.
You know,
well,
it's always trying to be like us versus this issue, rather than
definitely,
you versus me.
Definitely. And I think I wrote down 5 things of my list. We both got our phones out. I think I had 5 of those things that I wanted to do, like, you know, to show you more that I'm being attentive.
But I didn't really have a lot. I was saying
I was
going to say,
I was just saying it was funny, and then because you were like, I was like, well, what is it you like? And you were like, not like, I know what you like, but I was like, there's a difference between, and this could be an important thing. It's like, as the partner, you have to take initiative to be like, I don't want you to, don't come and say, hey, let's go and buy you some flowers, and you get to pick the flowers.
Yeah.
Go and buy the flowers and surprise them. It's that novelty thing, or it's like,
so true.
Have that person go out and then they come back and then a bath is run. And it was funny because there was a few of those that you were like, yeah, you could do this, you could do that, and then you were like, what is it that I want? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously the gig thing would be nice if you popped in for a few more of my gigs, but, you know, and I guess like maybe that says more about me, that I need to do a bit more emotional searching myself, so I know what that feels like.
But again, though, like, maybe I also need to do a bit of searching there of like, okay, I'm always trying to think, okay, what's Mikey up to? Like, what's he got on? What can I do I'm always trying to think, what can I do to help you? But maybe not in a practical, maybe too much in a practical sense. Sometimes.
And maybe not in a sense of like, that's just a very emotionally
that's
sweet
just gonna be sweet
thing
nice,
to do. Like he would like that, you know. And maybe that's the thing. I feel like sometimes I'm quite like, I'm very on the go. I'm very driven in terms of like results.
That's why I try and go for things that are just gonna help you be the best you can be, you know, rather than like,
maybe that's kind of,
you know what I mean?
That's kind of an interesting thing. Like, maybe it'd be nicer to go the other way.
If I like brought you back a little bit and was like
more into an emotional state of I thought you'd enjoy this, or I want to do this for you because, as opposed to it being like a, not that I don't appreciate all those other things that you do for me in a practical sense, because
No,
I
but
really do.
I know you do. But
I
I
don't
know
know,
I know exactly what you mean.
It's a constant dialogue, and it's good that we had that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of dialogues,
Yep.
I've never worn a diaphragm.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
We should always try and think of like the weirdest segue. When the other one wants to pick it up, it's just got to be whatever the last person said.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, I've never had a diaphragm. Is that does that go in your vagina?
I think so, and I think it sits at the head of the base of your cervix.
That's bonkers. Yeah, they say it in Friends, and it's like, did I leave my diaphragm at your place last night?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even know. I mean, I've never even put a tampon in, so I wouldn't have a clue how that works.
It must be sort of like do they still have the coil?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it must be similar to the coil then. It basically...
A few women I know have got the coil, like the IUD.
Yeah, and it stops... It just basically blocks the cervix in some way.
Yeah.
But
I think my mum's got the coil as well.
Yeah, coil...
I think it's a little bit 80s, the coil. I don't think it's...
Yeah, I think it's old school.
There's the copper coil and there's the IUD coil. I think the copper coil is like
Marina coil?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
there was that, baby.
Yeah, there's
Very
that one as well. Always good to be brushing up on your partner's birth control, because fellas, it's not just down to the women.
It's amazing though, like that birth control has been created as a woman's issue.
Yeah, I hate that.
And like I think I was reading about this the other day.
Well,
actually.
I mean the condom thing,
condom, yeah, okay, for men, yeah, it's like,
and that's also a good one because it's sort of a universal STD.
Yeah, it's good for everything. Yeah.
So.
But in general, apart from a barrier method, contraception, there's nothing really that's widely available that's common use for men. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking one of the reasons that I think is interesting is because it's because women can't trust men. Like if you're gonna have sex with someone and the man goes, "Oh, I'm on the pill, babe, don't need a condom." I'm sorry, but like the woman would be like, well, no, we still have to use one because I don't fully trust you. Whereas,
well, it's the woman that would get pregnant, right?
Exactly,
she's
it's the woman that runs the risk.
So there has to be a heightened level of.
I'm looking after my body.
Yeah, but ashamed that it's not a universal thing of men being like, well, we need to protect women's bodies as well.
Yeah, and we don't want to get women pregnant.
Yes,
and then also have a kid. The men wouldn't be pregnant themselves, but there's this idea of a man could get a woman pregnant and then bugger off to like Taiwan. Do you know what I mean?
Even further.
A woman gets pregnant, she goes to Taiwan, she's still pregnant.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
Which is so interesting.
I would...
And also the idea of women not having as much sex as men. It's like, oh, well, women don't have as much sex as men, so let's like make sure they've got all the birth control things, because men are gonna go and have loads of sex. So it's like, why didn't we make birth control for men if they're having more sex with multiple different partners?
Yeah, that's very true. Look, my sister Liv made a really good argument. It was like, men.
She's so good at stuff like this, though.
We'll have to get Liv on. Well, she has it'd be
fiery.
It'd be very fiery. She's got a very interesting perspective towards men in general.
Yeah.
But with porn and stuff, she's like 22, so but she's quite fiery. She's like very pro feminist. And, but that whole thing of if men had to make the case that they could like basically have their semen become activated. So it's like they're men are basically like, what's the word, like you're barren until the age of, and maybe you can't maintain erections until the age of 18, and then
you've got to show how you're a solid human being,
and it's like, okay, they're not demonstrating signs that they're a psychopath, or that they don't give any signs that they're mental, or that they're high risk men. And I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense, really. But
it kind of goes back to the other thing of like, put all baby boys as soon as they're born on a database of their fingerprints and their semen and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you just like pull it out from the balls of the baby when it's born? How would you get it? I don't know. Let's not go into that.
That's a dark place.
All right, just their fingerprints then.
Yeah, surely that would be enough, right?
Because they were like, because look, the odds are, and literally not in a nasty way, but the odds are of how many crimes are committed by men, and that's not just violent crimes against women. It's just crimes in general are committed by men.
Yeah.
if every baby boy's fingerprints on a database,
Mm-hmm.
when the odds are that they do something wrong,
Mm.
they can easily be found.
That's what I mean. If it was like, if I knew that had happened to me when I was a kid, and someone had explained that later on, I wouldn't be like, oh, my rights have been violated there.
Exactly.
I'd
You've
be
only
like,
got
no,
something
no.
to worry about if you're thinking about doing
yeah,
something dodgy.
or if you've done something wrong.
But then again, though, you get into like police state, and it's like the idea of like
Yeah,
you know, Orwellian ultra surveillance. You've only got something to worry about if you're doing something wrong, and we tell you what's wrong.
But then it's stupid to assume that it's like, well, we know that we live in a society where, unfortunately, with crimes that are to do with sexual assault and sexual abuse and rape and things like that, isn't it always usually the man that is the perpetrator in that case?
It's got to be like 95% of the time.
Right, and live out a statistic where it's like when rape victims, usually women, it's usually someone that they've known.
Yeah.
So
it's very rarely that it's a stranger.
So it's like, it's that thing where it's like, okay, if we lived in a society that never happened, and then it was like the government are coming in, they want everyone's thing on a database, you'd be like, well, this thing of like rape, it's like it's totally we can't even fathom what that's like. So why do you need our? But we're not. Unfortunately, and we live in a society where people joke about it and make jokes and think
so true,
so flippantly, like it's the most like funny thing in the world. So I definitely wouldn't mind that. It's like, if it's going to protect women, then go for it. But
so true,
you know.
So we bought some condoms recently. We bought some Durex Featherlight condoms, like a pack of 12 or something, was it?
Did you mention that your IUD is run out?
No, so I haven't got the ID. I've got the implant, little rod in my arm, and I've had that for the past 6 years. 3 years, and then you get it changed and you put a new one in and stuff, and it lasts for 3 years. And it ran out on the 18th of May this month, and the next appointment that the sexual health clinic were able to get me in is not till this Thursday. So, you know, and it was crazy when I phoned them up, because, you know, I don't really get coy or shy about anything like that.
No, there's nothing to be shy
but
about.
There's a little element of when you phone in something, I've told you this, like I was getting not worked up, but, you know, you kind of practice in your head 5 minutes before, or when the phone's ringing, you're going to know what you're going to say. And I remember phoning to book this appointment to get my new implant in. And it's not like a GP or anything, it's just a sexual health clinic, and phone's ringing, and I'm practicing in my head, and they're going to say like, oh, good morning, you've reached the something the sexual health clinic, what can I do for you? And I was like, oh, good morning, blah, blah, blah. But then like the phone answered, and I just heard a male voice over the other end go, hello. And I was like, hello? And he was like, no. And then I was like, I want to book an appointment. And he was like, what for? I was like, jeez, man, like,
it's a sexual health clinic. What do you think?
Give me something. No, obviously they need to know what the appointment's got to be for, but it was just a very.
But it's like, look, man.
What service are you seeking today?
It's a sexual health clinic. I need to book an appointment. So it's like, okay, it's to do with sexual health.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, come on. It's it's not going to be like, oh, I think my tires are flat.
No, but they need to know what it's going to be for, so that they can have the appropriate nurse and.
But surely they're all
booked in.
I
know what you mean.
If it's a sexual health
abacus, I'd have to say what it was I wanted to book in for.
Some nurses don't know about STDs, but other ones know specifically stuff about birth control.
I know what you mean.
Doesn't everyone just know all the same stuff?
I knew I'd have to say what the appointment was for. It wasn't that, but it was just the casualness of the hello.
Yeah.
I was just like,
well, hello.
Well, hello.
And then also being like, what's it? What? Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so yeah. Basically for the past week or so I've been like technically not protected. I've not been on birth control, and it's been a weird feeling because I've not had that in 10 years, because when we first met I went on the pill for a year or so.
A couple of years, I think.
Was it a couple of years on the pill for? It's shocking that we didn't get pregnant or something when I was on the pill, because I was not good at taking it.
Yeah,
I was not informed. I was so young. I was 18.
Yeah, it's more so about, I think it's the prospect of it being like you're messing with the hormones of your natural body and your natural hormonal cycle. You're introducing it. But I think with the implant it's slightly different, because you put that in and it does change your hormonal balance.
Yeah.
But it's it must be on a timer, or it must be on something that it's more regulated. Whereas
And
with
I
the
don't
pill,
have to think about it every day.
yeah. Whereas with the pill, it was like you were taking a pill every day. You weren't taking a week off when I think you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
There's so many different types of them, and
I don't feel like, because clearly you would have been. There must be some question there about how well it was explained to you about that, because I feel like that is not like a negligible mistake to make.
So true, yeah.
That's not something that you'd just be like, oh well, someone told me not to take it for a week, but then I just my mind switched off.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, but you've been off it for a couple of weeks now, and as a result, we've been.
So you want to be safe, like. Even though I know that the implant doesn't like stop on the day, it's not like a cancelled train or something. But it's kind of like if we were to continue having sex and this implant's run out and then I got pregnant, it really is your own fault. Like,
yeah, well, I guess because it's like you're just not showing the self-awareness there.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing
So
you're not doing your due diligence. But we've never so that's the thing, when we first started being intimate, we basically went straight to using the pill.
Yeah.
So for about 10 years, any intimacy that we've had together has always been, there's been no barrier.
Yeah, we've never used condoms before.
We've never used condoms, and now for the first time in 10 years we're using them.
It was pretty fun though. Like, I just mean like buying them, like you're at the till at home bar and it's like, haha, these Johnnies, please. Did we buy anything else with them? Was it the Johnnies and something in Tesco?
I think I bought jokingly like a hammer and some
No,
handcuffs.
wasn't it a bag of limes? we were all out of limes from the avocado on toast, so we needed to run in and grab some, and then we were like, should we grab some Johnnies? Like, because we were like, we might get back and who knows what could happen.
That was it. No, because I think we made a point of saying, I think we finished at the gym and it was like, I felt like we were both maybe wanting to be intimate, or maybe I was feeling particularly.
I was feeling it too.
Yeah, so
it was like, oh, should we?
It felt kind of like being a teenager a bit.
Yeah, it did.
And
you buy them till and you're like.
Yeah, and it's like oh
no, it was Home Bargains.
It was Home Bargains, yeah.
Yeah, it was because we went into Tesco. We actually couldn't afford
them in
Tesco.
They were like £6.50, and I had £6.
We only had cash on us because neither of us take our phones or wallets to the gym.
Right,
we just take a little bit of cash to get a coffee.
So we didn't even have the requisite funds, the sufficient conkers to.
And that, folks, is why we can't control our birth rate in this country. Like, condoms are too expensive.
£6.50 for a pack of condoms is a lot.
There was the cheapest ones as well, and they were Tesco's
You know
own.
what's silly though? I didn't even think about this. Round the corner from the Tesco, 15 seconds down the road.
It's a sexual health clinic.
We could have just walked in there and said, we need condoms.
Yeah, I need a Johnny now.
Yeah, and I'm sure, yeah. See her over there? Yeah, we need one now.
Let me put it this way. I need 2 Johnnies.
One for me, one for your mum. Nah, just one for me, please.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, when I go for my appointment, because after you get your implant in, they do say up a week after you still need to use another contraception method.
Yeah.
So I remember last time. Do you remember I got the pill? I got the implant changed last time for the first time, and she gave me like an envelope, and it was like out of Goodfellas, when they're all giving wads of cash in the wallet. It was like that, but it was Johnny's.
Or like when you go the chippy and they give you a bag full of chips in one wrapper, and it's bulging with chips.
Yeah, it was bulging. It must have had about 25, 30 Johnnies.
Do you think maybe
all varying brands?
Do you think maybe she looked at us and she was like, young couple,
these get on it.
They're just going to be doing it.
That's so true. Yeah,
which that was nice. Better than giving us like 3.
I mean, like, use them wisely.
Yeah. Oh, don't use them all at once.
Yeah. Come back if you need more. So yeah. It was kind of fun buying them, and then they're there, and it's like I've not really seen these properly since I was in high school. In like sex education and stuff, when you'd get a condom out, and I was thinking like. I remember them telling me in sex ed how to know it's the right way up. It should look like a hat with the rim going round rather than like. But then I was the other way. I was even panicking to myself. I was like, right, but I can't actually remember what it was. Like, what if you put it on the wrong way round and it like flies off? And then I was worried about the lube. I was
what if I put it on the wrong way and my penis is on the outside of the condom?
What if I put it on my head? She gets pregnant. I was like, what if this lube isn't compatible with this condom? Because I know
Yeah.
that that's a thing with like certain lubes, they deteriorate the latex.
But we checked and we
We
did
did
our
check.
due diligence. Yeah.
But it's funny though, like you just get so used to the comfort and the security of knowing that
Yeah.
this little plastic rod in your arm's taking care of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
for
suddenly
sure.
that's gone, and it's like, whoa, hang on, let's be serious.
It is a bit strange. I remember when we first started going out, Tyler, our old roommate, I said, have you got some condoms?
Oh my god, did you actually?
Yeah,
I
and
didn't know that.
he gave me 2 condoms. One was a chocolate flavored one, and have I never told you this?
No.
Yeah, so he gave me
What, you asked him for condoms because you thought we were gonna have sex?
No, we were in like we were in our first band at that point. So it was
Yeah.
like, and Tyler was with his ex girlfriend at the time, and it was a natural conversation that came up, and it was like, I was like, no, like we've not really had sex yet, but I think it's potentially going there. So, and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to get some condoms, and then I think he might have said, well, I can give you some if you need some, and then I was like, that's great.
Nice.
And he gave me 2. He gave me a chocolate flavored one.
That's
Hilarious. And then he gave me another flavored one. I think it was orange or something.
Jesus.
And then I remember being at home, and I was like, at this point though, I think you were on the pill. So it was like, I think I just wanted them as a safety thing.
Yeah, that's good.
So I remember being at home and like trying them on just to be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be, because like I just want to be
Of course.
It's that thing of like, you want to know what it looks like, feels like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here's the thing though. So I was in my bathroom, and obviously I couldn't get an erection because
I wasn't there.
because you weren't there, and I'm purely doing this for functional reasons.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, right, this massive condom that's also brown.
It smells like Cadbury's cream
that
eggs.
I did sort of like
Did you lick it?
I did lick it a bit to be like, and I was like, that does taste like chocolate actually.
Oh my god, that's like nice chocolate though, or was it sickly?
Well, no, it was because it also tastes like latex.
Was
so
it like Bourneville or Lint?
It was like latex, but someone had artificially put in a whiff of chocolate, and it was like, oh, okay.
That's mad. Is that for like giving blowjobs with a condom on?
Well, what do you think, Meg?
Do people do that though?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're having casual sex, do people like
put
condoms on to give a blowjob to someone?
Well, you can still, you can get STDs without, if you don't use that.
That's so true. That world is so far away. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, even when you said they're flavoured, I thought, why the fuck would they be flavoured?
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's like,
no.
it's kind of like,
And I get you a flavoured
fun,
lube as well, don't you?
Flavoured lube, yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Spermicidal lube.
you put spermicidal lube, where you get a little fucking cereal killer. But it was like, yeah, and it was just pathetic. It was like
What happened?
my willy doesn't fit because I can't
It's
get
too
her.
small.
Yeah, and then I was
Yeah.
like, and now it was making my willy look funny, and also and smell like chocolate, and I don't know what that's gonna do for me.
And Meg's coming over in 5 minutes.
Meg's coming over in 20 minutes, and I don't know what to tell her. And then I think what I did is, because I couldn't get, so then I'd ruined that one. I
Yeah.
tried to take it off, and it had become unraveled, and it had gone inside itself.
Right.
So I was like, fuck this. So then I got the other one.
Yeah. The orange.
So that was the last one I had.
Right.
Then what was the plan? So now I've got. So then I remembered being like, okay, if I can try and get an erection, that's gonna be more useful. As I recall, I couldn't still get one, so I was like, right, so I've just basically ruined this. I think the orange one tasted a bit sour.
I'm picturing the orange one tasting just like the lollipops you used to get in the doctors, in the pharmacy bit where they'd have like free lollies for the kids.
Yeah, it would have been cool if I could have worn them both and then got like a sort of Terry's chocolate orange vibe going. But
do people put can you put 2 condoms on?
I don't think
Extra protection.
I don't think there's a rule against it.
I mean, you wouldn't taste one through the other though, would you? Because of the latex.
You'd have to sort of well, maybe if you like got one condom and rubbed it on the other condom and then threw it away, and then that scent gets put on the condom.
Yeah, unless you got one condom. So you put the orange condom on.
Yeah.
Then you take the chocolate one out of its wrapper and you put tiny little slits in it of the chocolate one. You put the chocolate one over the orange one. So the orange one is still fully sealed and protective.
Yeah,
so that's the one that's actually doing its job.
But then the chocolate
But then
one
it's just letting the orange seep through.
Yeah, great. Maybe we should look into this.
I'm really curious about that.
See, then we can rate them or something.
Yeah, we'll let you know in the next one, guys. But that's funny. Did you put the condom wrappers and condoms in the bin, or were you worried that your mum would find them?
No, I just put them in tissue and put them in the bin. Yeah.
Smooth.
I was only like 17 at this point, so. But it has been interesting sort of using them for the first time and being like, okay, like it's definitely it's a weird one. Obviously, it's like there's no other, of course, like we're going to use condoms. There's nothing else that can be done.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a strange one for me of being like, oh, okay, like this is what it feels like to have a barrier with someone that I've been with for 10 years, and it's every time there's been intimacy, we've never had that worry.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like there's a barrier, and I guess I'd be lying to myself if I didn't feel like, oh, it does feel like there is something now between us.
Yeah.
And there is, and that's fine because it's again, it's a,
especially when you've gotten used to one way, very particular, like the past 10 years, and then
yeah,
I know what you mean.
And that does feel a bit strange, but it's also been kind of fun experimenting with that medium. And it is kind of like there was a side of me as well that was like when the idea it's like, oh well, you're off birth control now, so if we didn't use protection there was a chance that we would have, you'd become pregnant and we'd have a child. And then there was a side of me that was kind of
you were
like,
kind of getting broody a little bit about the idea of wanting a kid.
I think it was this idea of like, I was like, oh, like that's crazy, like we could do that and then we could have a child, and like, and then I was thinking like, oh, I feel like I could totally be like a parent to knowing that you're the mum and that I'd be the dad and we'd have a child, like having that between us. I don't, that doesn't scare me. I'm like, yeah, I could totally do that. So I guess it was just interesting because now it was like, well, you talk about that all the time, but you've got the implant in, so nothing will happen. You'd have to go and get the implant out.
Yeah.
Whereas now it was a very real thing of like,
take a step to stop that happening. Whereas we've never really had to worry about it before, and So that was kind of revealing. Yeah, defo. It's one of them. Like I have the picture of us being parents, and it doesn't scare me, but. And I have the image of you with like you're lying down on a couch and you've just got this little baba like lying on you, and it's, that image like makes me feel so nice, and you, me with the little one. It's lovely, and it's not something that I'm like proper desperate to do, because
same.
I'd say I don't feel 100% ready in myself to be a parent.
I get that.
Could I see myself having a newborn? Yeah. Could I see myself having a toddler? Yeah. But then it's like, but those things live for a long, they outlive you. Like that kid is then going to be 8, then it's going to be 12, then it's going to be 16.
I think that thing would rub off pretty quick. Yeah.
It's the future thing of it. This kid is going to be your responsibility now for life.
Yeah, no, definitely.
This kid comes before you. This kid comes before you. And I don't know if I'm ready for that just yet.
I feel like, I mean? But I feel like realistically, it would be like it'd be a family unit. It wouldn't be a thing of like. The family
comes first.
It's.
But I think most parents will say though, if they would do anything for the kid, even if it meant risking the partner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
And I think that, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a primitive thing of like, you've got to look after the young first. But obviously it's like that question of like, oh, there's a fire, like, do you go and save your kid or do you save your partner? And it's like, well, I'll go get my partner so we have a better job of getting the kid together. Yeah. So it's not, because I don't feel 100% ready, it's like, because it's not 100% yes, right now it's 100% no. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I need to wait until it's 100% yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So, I'm not, but it's interesting because maybe you might not, I imagine a lot of people would say you never feel 100% yes becoming a parent. Because for me, it's like my 100% yes would look like you and I have got 2 very viable businesses that constantly make generate quite a bit of revenue, more than what we're making now.
Yeah.
We have a property.
We have a home.
We have a home. We've got financial security. That's rarely the case for people.
Yeah.
It's always like they've got debt.
Yeah.
They've got X amount of problems. That their parents are getting older, so they've got those worries.
They're working in, like, usually, if you get pregnant, it's like, well, I'm going to quit college. I'm going to go get a full-time job, and the money and the providing comes first,
So I'm not sure that you'd ever feel like that. I feel as if but I feel like it's a good indication for me to be like, if you turned around and said I'm pregnant, I feel like I could rise to that and be like,
Yeah.
I know that I feel like I could take care of you, and I feel like I could take care
Aw.
of of a child,
That's nice.
and I feel like I could prioritize that quite easily,
Yeah.
and my life as well. Whereas if you'd have asked
Yeah.
me 5 years ago, I think I'd have been like, no way, I'm not even good with myself.
I get you.
But
Yeah.
I feel like that's come from a whole host of me taking on more responsibility in other areas of my life, and that now makes me feel like if it came to that I could.
That's amazing.
Oh, well,
That's really nice.
that's also easy for me to say because I'm not the one that would carry the baby for 9 months and birth it.
I don't feel like I'd be... The pregnancy thing of it doesn't really scare me. I'd feel... The pregnancy thing would feel like the easiest part.
Really?
Yeah. Pregnancy and labour, it doesn't scare me at all.
Wow. Well, that's really empowering.
Doesn't
and
scare
I think
me, yeah.
I think you'd be great in labour.
Yeah,
I do.
I think so
I know
too.
that like that sounds probably silly, but I just feel like you'd be very
Yeah,
controlled.
I just think that's what I mean. But that also confirms this thing of like, if that doesn't scare you,
Yeah.
and the idea then of having this kid forever scares you, that's the more. If people are like, oh, I really want a baby, but like, oh, I'm scared to get pregnant, I'd be like, I'm scared to have pregnancy, I'm scared of labour. It's kind of like, well, you maybe aren't mature enough then.
But maybe it's like this thing. Maybe you'd feel differently if you like. Maybe what's happening there is that you're setting this thing up as like what you see as the life. Then it's like we've got that kid for life, big scary responsibility.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
do see it a bit like that.
But you sometimes do that where you will set something up as this like, it's like the other day we were having the conversation about, oh, do you go and have.
Like meeting up with friends and then being worried then that there's an expectation.
Yeah,
of
and
like,
then it's I've not got I can't go and meet them every week, and it's like, well, no one's saying that. No one's saying that you had to. But with
the idea of having a kid though, it's like that kid is yours for life without a doubt.
But in that situation, you've also got me, and you've got me.
That fills me with a lot of like reassurance and stuff.
And just knowing that it's like our lives have been different. We've not led a typical life like since we were like, after uni. So we're good, maybe 5 years now. So the idea of us raising a child, I think, would be different, and I think we'd have a different relationship, maybe than what just the norm.
I know what you mean.
And that to me, like, and I think, but it's like for me, if you said we could have a daughter, I'd be like, yeah.
This is the thing also that I'm like, Mike was saying the day that if we got pregnant and it was a boy, Mike would be like, oh, for fuck's sake.
It's just this thing of like, I feel as if if I had a son, that'd be awesome. But I see sometimes like, I'll see parents interacting with their little ones, and it's like a dad with his little girl or a mum with her little girl. And that to me seems to pull on my heartstrings more than when I see the boy. We were in, what was it, place called? Sephora?
Yeah.
Today. There was a kid a little boy running around with like this Lego, screaming his head off, and he was a boy. And his mum was like, stop it.
Oh,
And,
that.
And
Oh my God, that was intense.
He was spinning around like he was a hurricane. And I was like, fucking hell. And then we saw that other girl who was with her mum. She wanted to go in cute to the shop.
Yeah.
And she was such a cutie pie. She was like, she was saying like, oh, like, her eyes were sort of like, you guys were, it was lovely. And
I would rather have a daughter than a son, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
you don't really get to pick.
And men are the predominant, boys are the predominant flavour, it would seem, for the McDermott
I think
gene.
girls are more common in my family.
Well, but it's the man that decides, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, lots of factors there.
Yeah.
Lots of factors to talk about and discuss.
But until then,
until what?
Until that bridge arises where we're thinking about that. Yeah, I'm getting my new implant this Thursday, and we're gonna go buy some Johnnies.
As in 2 days?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this Thursday. But then you have to use them a week.
Okay.
Until it goes in.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come with you.
Johnny, what did you say earlier when you got your watch? Oh, I've got this lovely tin for watch. I want to use this for my Johnnies.
The guy was like,
"You're right there."
No, but I feel like I've really been leaning into being.
You have.
Being
I
funny,
love it.
and it's been great. I've been making myself laugh,
Yeah.
And it's been great. Like,
Yeah.
The guy was like, he gave me the watch, and he gave me like the case, but the case was a tin, and I was like, oh, that'll be.
Were
great.
you hoping for like a?
No, I wasn't hoping for anything.
No,
I was
not
like,
asked.
just give me the watch. Like that's gonna just give me
That's
the
all I
manual
wanted,
and the watch.
yeah.
But then he just gave me this tin. I was like, I'll be dead for, I keep my Johnnies in there. Like, in my, like, on my bedroom next to all my porno mags, like, it's just funny. And then there was a woman, I got a pair of trainers, and this woman was piping up.
That was funny.
And she was like, this seems to always happen as well to me in these situations where, like, I was trying on a pair of shoes, and I felt a bit like, the shoes were very bright. I would never buy these kind of shoes, but they're running shoes. And I was like, I'm trying them on. And we're in the Trafford Centre. Fucking, there's 100 people trying on shoes, and then this woman sort of singles me out. And I get it. She was being nice. She was
just another customer. She didn't work there or anything.
No, but I got the impression that maybe I thought she was with that she had kids in there, but then when she left without them. So
I thought she had kids with her as well.
Yeah, but when she went out, she just left alone.
Oh, that's weird.
An older woman, and I was like, oh, and she, and she was like, oh, you look amazing. Them, I love them shoes. Like, oh, you look amazing. You better buy them. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I will. Do you work here? Like, what's your angle? Like, what are you trying to get? Are they commissioning you? And then she was like, oh, they remind me of some they remind me of some show from the 70s. Someone used to wear shoes like that. And then I just instinctively said, it wasn't Jim will fix it, was it? Like, and that made me laugh because
he used to run. He didn't wear shoes like that, did he?
No, but he did used to run, and they were very flamboyant. And I was thinking like, oh, that's kind of funny. No one reacted. She just went, no, it weren't that. Like, I don't know if she didn't get the joke, or it was like she was just like, no, it weren't that. It was. And then she said something else. But yeah, it's been nice leaning into. I feel like I've been trying to lean into maybe just being a bit more open about
making jokes.
Yeah, I was just like, I'll find something funny in my head, so I'll just say it.
Yeah,
but
I like that.
And I'll good. At the very least, I feel like I'll get a laugh out of myself, and that's enough, which has been lovely. So yeah, that was that was over an hour, sweetie. I think it was like an hour and 15.
Jesus, we need to rein it in. We need to make these more snappy.
I think people like it.
No, I like that, but me personally, as a podcast consumer, I like podcasts that are between like 40 and 50 minutes because that seems like a reasonable amount of time for a task.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I see something's over an hour long, I'm like, bloody hell, best get comfy for this.
But some people enjoy, a guy messaged me the other day and said he likes listening to these when he goes to bed.
Well, that's really nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting really bad earache.
Earache?
My left ear, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Is it your left ear? Pick a number between 1 and 24. Quick, don't think about it. What number?
7.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Oh, what was it? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Someone someone who's got a name with the letter G is talking nice things about you.
Oh, that's nice.
So it could be G, Grace, Graham.
Thanks, G. Thanks, Graham. Thanks, Grace.
There you go. So it's a good thing.
Geddy Lee.
Geddy Lee, are you listening and saying nice things about Meg?
Flash of Geddy Lee. Messaged us in, hey guys, loving the podcast.
So, where's he from?
He's from South Park. He's Canadian. Hey guys, loving the podcast.
And that's another 2 minutes.
Bye everyone. I'm going to go put some ice on my ear.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening.
Thank you guys so much. We really hope that you enjoyed these topics of real talks.
We'll catch you for the next one.
And stay tuned for all the stuff. And
let us know in the comments what you thought.
Be safe.
Be safe, sex. Yeah, always use
end it there. Be safe, sex.
Be safe, sex. And
we had sex.
Sex. Let us know in the comments as well what you thought of the love spat thing between Megan and I.
Let us know whose side you're on.
Do you think that I was like being fair there? Do you think it was fair, some of the stuff that I was bringing up, or do you think it was maybe too harsh?
Let us know whose side you're on and what flavour condom we should buy next.
Bye.